Everybody who took the time to be with us today. Thank you for joining G Summit. Thank you for being here. So just to share a little bit, G Summit is a thought leadership event that we do in Globe Business so that we can have our businesses be given the opportunity to get insights about how they can transform and rally their organizations towards business sustainability and resilience. So we have invited both local and foreign industry experts to share their expertise and their best practices on how cutting-edge solutions can be an advantage to every business, no matter how big or how small. And we've also extended this invite to some of our partners that are helping us in supporting the different industries that we as Globe Business serve. So RJ mentioned this earlier, we are actually in our own transformation from a telco to becoming a techco. And with this, Globe really stands firm and committed to our goal of uplifting the lives of Filipinos by providing solutions that enable our customers and by responding to the growing needs of our business clients. It's an exponential pace. And I think what's really important for all companies to be able to do is to know that the changes and shifts, digital transformation is not just the job of the IT department. It's actually something that cuts across the entire organization. It's a mindset, not just a technological change in the tools that you use. So to be successful in this, it really takes it has to come from the top. The leaders really have to drive digital transformation into the DNA of the organization. And I think that's how businesses can continue to be successful in this ever-changing landscape.
Again, change management occurs from the top. Josiah, what are your thoughts?
Sarah, one is that they have to review their entire business model and to avoid what is called strategic drift, which is the business model is no longer relevant. During the pandemic, so many companies went into strategic drift. The second thing is to be prepared ahead of time. Preparedness includes scenario building. It also includes technological preparedness, because you cannot just say, okay, I want to do this tomorrow. There is a certain preparation period before technology can come and be executed. And the third is really about innovation. Take a look at what you can start doing, what companies can start doing as industries first, so that they can create a compelling value proposition. And number two, what do they have to stop doing so that they can actually challenge industry or company practices or industry assumptions. Just 3 points.
Got that. And later on, if you want to ask a bit more questions or dive deeper to that one, feel free to ask more questions. Blake?
I used to be a practitioner. I worked at Intel. Anybody hear about Intel, the chip maker?
Yes.
And that was the last corporate job I ever had, and I never looked back. But the point is that when I started there, I had one boss who I really, really liked, but they took her team away and put me on somebody else's team, and that was the beginning of the end for me. The point is that leadership for me matters so much, and the more I dive into these topics, I've realized that having good, strong leaders, developing your leaders that exude the culture that you are creating, I believe is so important. Because if you have leaders that can excite people and get them to action and move and embrace the technologies, and leaders that employees feel camaraderie with and supported by and seen by, I think there's really nothing you can't achieve. And I think to go back to these old school ideas of just developing good leaders, I think we need to return to that. All the technology, everything will work itself out, but the people stuff is the sticky stuff. And so I believe strong leadership is absolutely critical.
Thanks so much, Blake. And Pia?
Business landscape, it is really important that we build brands that are resilient and that will endure. Because it's really easy for a brand to become really famous and for it to be, stellar overnight. But what is really important is for a brand to be able to withstand the test of time. And because we all have brands that we love and they stay with us. And these are the brands that are able to build three things. And I like to think of them as the three R's. And they are relevance, resonance, and robustness. So relevance meaning a brand that really is rooted into what the customer's needs are, and really addressing what customers want, not just today, but anticipating what customers might want in the future. The second is resonance, and that's a little bit less kind of less straightforward. Resonance is that emotional connection that you have with brands. It's that psychological connection that we have with brands that are, even if we're not using the brand, even if we're not buying it or consuming it, we are connected to that brand. And that's created by creating moments of meaningful connection. So some of you would have already been with us in some of our consumer activations where we create opportunities for us to meet our customers and create moments where we fulfill some of their passion points. And so that's one way that, for instance, at Globe, we build resonance with our individual customers. And then the third thing is robustness of the brand. And I think of this as the ability for a brand to withstand changes in the market and changes in customer desires and changes as well in market dynamics. And most importantly, sometimes the ability for a brand to withstand negative PR as well. And so the ability for a brand to react well with authenticity and quickly and be able to take responsibility.
Thanks so
Should they adapt to become relevant, competitive, and resilient?
Can you repeat that question again?
sige, sige. So,
What advice will you give businesses to prepare them for the customer-centric landscape of the future?
Oh, okay.
And what technologies and strategies should they adopt for them to become to remain competitive, resilient, and competitive, resilient?
So something I recently learned is that really strong contact center leaders think of the contact center and the customer experience as a product, like a product manager. And I guess that's language you all understand because you're tech people. But I actually interviewed a woman named Naomi Wheelis, the head of customer experience for Square, the payments company. And I thought what she said was so interesting, that if contact center leaders and people that run customer service programs could think of what they do as a product manager, and then use analytics and data to show the story and the narrative of what they're doing so they can get more buy-in and more money for their programs. And it sounds simple, but I executed some research. I did some research with a company called DVI for my book where we surveyed over 1,000 leaders. And what we found was very few people were able to show how they either made their company money or saved their company money in their customer experience program. So I think these tools are very, very important to start teaching people that run customer experience how to speak like a marketer or a product manager so they can get more money for their program. So I didn't really answer your question about preparing for the future, but I don't think companies are even prepared for the present when it comes to customer experience. So that's why we need to provide the language for, I'm going to advocate for my program and here's how I'm showing you how valuable it is.
So technology, this is for everybody. Technology has been evolving very, very fast, faster than we can understand it and faster than how we can adopt it. In fact, you said they are not even prepared for the present. So given a scenario that the old business model is no longer relevant and technology has been evolving faster than we can adopt and we can understand it. But then there's this old mindset of corporate leaders to take baby steps. So how can you reconcile this? There's the rapid development of technology, the rapid evolution, and the old business model is no longer relevant. But should we continue? Should these corporate leaders still adopt baby steps, or they should start running with the evolution of this technology?
So just to clarify, to summarize short of the question is that, how do we onboard maybe people, or in an organization there are many people, there are people who are happy to bring up new technology, people who aren't too happy with new technology or averse, are technology averse. How do we put everybody on the same page, especially with digital transformation being the key to growing the company in the future, or in the present even? Let's start with Katie.
Well, I think still connected to a lot of the things we were discussing earlier, even in the plenary. In terms of taking baby steps, I think that there is value in being able to take steps backwards to reevaluate and really think about what are some of the things that we need to update or change, or things that we need to let go of in the name of what is going to be the future or what progress is. So I think there's value in doing maybe baby steps or little backward steps for that. But when you are clear as a leadership team, as an organization, coming from a deep reevaluation of what it is that your business models are, what will work in the future, what your customers need, then maybe do a little bit of test and learn, but afterwards run, because you will get left behind. So I think there is value in doing a little bit of test and learn, but you cannot know everything. You won't know everything 100%, never, right? So in this day and age, though, there's really a lot of data that's available. Take the quality data that you have and make your educated guesses, make your educated bets, and then run with it. Just always have, I guess, the mitigators in place and be ready to pivot if needed. But you're absolutely right. I mean, everything is going so fast, and if we continue at the pace of being too cautious, then we get left behind. So there's a marriage of how to do both, I think.
Got that. Josiah.
I have two answers to that. One is we learn from history in terms of why winners are winners. Union Bank, for example, GCAS is another example. They were all ahead of the game. And so what happened now? Well, they're growing a lot faster than everybody else. Point number one. Point number two is that if companies, especially big companies, do not make the appropriate investment in technology, eventually it's going to catch up with them. So either they do it now or they do it in the future. But if they do it in the future, they lose out now, because if competitors are investing, they're not investing as much. There will be inefficiency and potential customer dissatisfaction too. In the future, you will be on equal footing because the technology will have to be there. Can you just imagine if you check into this hotel and say, we want to be customer focused, but then they start looking for your name because there is no technology, and you're gonna wait for 30 minutes to look for a file. So for me, it's just a question of time. Companies who do not invest in technology today will get penalized in the future. So the earlier, I think that for me, the earlier the better. You need to prepare for the future all the time.
I have a supporting example. Anybody here fly Southwest Airlines? Probably not, or heard of it in America.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Jordan. So the company had a lot of problems over the winter. There were delays because of weather, but then their technology broke down. Well, the pilots had been writing to the leadership of Southwest for many years saying, our technology is outdated, we're warning you, it's going to cause a problem. And Bob Jordan, the CEO, was the CFO, so he was the accountant. So he said, I don't want to spend the money, it's too expensive. Well, Southwest, a very customer-focused, beloved brand, always used as a best-in-class example, got their brand dragged through the mud, and I'm not sure they'll ever recover because they didn't want to invest in the technology. So I think that Josiah's point is really correct, that we don't want to just throw technology at a problem without being thoughtful. However, if we wait too long to address the situation, the repercussions are very bad.
Thanks so much. And Pia.
Perhaps I'll just add to what everybody has said. Perhaps just thinking about why are some leaders hesitant and why are they wanting to take baby steps? Yes, there is the cost concern, but perhaps there's also a risk concern or a certain fear of the unknown. And so I would think about perhaps considering two things. One is think about your customers. Think about what your customers are needing and wanting, and use that as the point of courage for you to do the right thing and invest for your customer today, because your customer will thank you for it and will stay with you, and you will be building that longer term relationship with your customer, and it will pay back. And second, take a look at other companies that have gone down that journey before you, because many companies very similar to yours or maybe different to yours would have gone through some of the steps or some of the processes that you may be considering. And so, say for instance at Globe Business, our relationship managers, our account managers, take some of our case studies and best practices and share them with our customers, so that other customers, so that we get that sense of, okay, I see that you have a similar problem to mine and you've done this before me, and I can see where you've done well and where you may have had some learnings and I can learn from you. And so it's really that. So think about your customers and think about your peers and take inspiration and learnings from them.
Got that. Very good.
I think, okay, so we do have typical KPIs with the within any organization. I think maybe two of the ones that show resiliency. One, we do also measure NPS, so the Net Promoter Score, as Blake had mentioned earlier. And that shows how much our customers actually would promote us or advocate for us. But I think the other thing that we do measure are certain brand attributes that we value in terms of how customers view us from a technology standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from our ability to serve them. And so no more than, let's say, the revenue KPIs or the KPIs on how fast we are addressing issues, etc. Those brand attributes show the resiliency of the brand, because these are feelings that our customers have about us, and it's not really as measurable as a feeling, but being able to measure it as a brand attribute does show that yes, the customers feel the brand is strong in being able to deliver on the promise. That's one of the things that we measure. The brand is strong in being able to take businesses forward with technology or with thought leadership, etc. So apart from the regular KPIs on revenues, etc., we really value how customers view us in terms of attributes we feel are the ones that will keep the company growing and taking care of customers.
Pia, you'd like to add?
Those are the two things I would say as well. we measure the same things.
Very, very aligned. Thank you so much. Very, very aligned. Our question over here in the front.
Digital shift, the principles remain the same in terms of who's your target market, what segment do you want to target, what is your brand positioning. So ideas, a lot of them are digital in nature.
We would say digital.
We have for the school,
Yes.
because sometimes the schools prefer digital copies, so I have that. So I think that's number one. Number two is that the marketing the scenario is actually responding to the environment. So whatever is the environmental changes, you can come up with solution that might be tech or non-tech, depending on the situation. I hope I answered your question.
Wait, if you don't mind, maybe Pia, you'd like to add to that as well. She's been mother of marketing naman.
Sister only.
Sister.
Ate only. No, I think there are two things. I could totally agree. The basics are the same, because the basics of targeting and understanding your customers, those are fundamental. But I think two things are different. One is we have more channels and more tools. So there are more channels that we can use to reach our customers and more tools for measuring our effectiveness or effectivity. In fact, sometimes there's too many tools and too many channels. And I think the challenge today is choice. And I said this earlier, but it really is understanding which tools are the most relevant to use, which channels are the most relevant to use to reach your customers. Because otherwise, you will be spreading yourself too thinly. So it is making those choices.
I guess it's a tech summit, but in general, and a lot of the events that we do, we really do talk about these cloud, cybersecurity, etc. And there's always a lot of interest now, especially as businesses have really gone very digital. The market is very digital, so these are things that is inevitable for the businesses to continue and thrive, and sometimes even survive. To make sure they get on these digital tools, like being on the cloud. And as soon as you are on the cloud, you need to have cybersecurity as well, so that any vulnerabilities are mitigated. There's also a lot of interest around data-driven analytics as well. So I guess, sharing some of the things that, the interest that comes from these events that we have. There's also a lot of interest, again, in core connectivity, because underlying all of this, there's a lot of next generation core connectivity. It's not your typical broadband and mobile of the past. There's so many advancements in that as well. So those are the ecosystem of companies that go into digital transformation, which is, I guess, fundamental to a lot of the events that we have here. So that is on the first question. The data center, I cannot give a date. But I think you're asking about the KPIs.
Are you expecting business to grow once you open the data center?
Yes, of course. You know, there's huge growth in hyperscalers. So
Are you in the hyperscaler already?
sorry.
Is Globe already in the hyperscaler data center?
Are we a hyperscaler? We are hyper. No, but I think we do cater to a lot of the hyperscalers, and so it's not just the data center, but a lot of the things we do is really to be able to enable these companies that have huge volumes of data, and you know, the interest is really to bring a lot of that volume closer to the customer so that it's more efficient, and it's also more cost effective for them and even for the customers. So that is a huge trend that has been going on in the past, recent past, and I think that's just going to get bigger and bigger. It's a big opportunity for the country, actually. So that's where we're at. And sorry, I can ask you a
Sige, habol pa. Isa pa.
May dalawa pa. What's Globe's take on data localization and what for all the members of the panel? AI as a whole, how do you see it? Have you acquired it? Have you absorbed it? Or is there any tool that you're currently using for AI in terms of marketing, sales, technical, and so on? Thank you.
So on the first question, you know, I think I actually have, I see in the audience our head of partner ecosystems. This is Cope Clarival. So maybe you'd like to take that one.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the first question was about, the second was about AI. The first was
But data localization.
data localization. So that's a very good question. So, di ba, a couple of years back, parang everybody thought that we should all move to the cloud.
Yes.
Which they tried. In fact, Globe did move a lot to the cloud. But what we realized was to be really efficient in operating your company, there will be cases where you will need data to be in country. In fact, if you look at the BSP and all the regulations, they advise you which can be on cloud, which can be on-prem. And that's why even at Globe, we support companies that do a hybrid cloud approach. So we have our own, obviously our own products that support local cloud. We work with partners that support local cloud, but we also help them build an operation where they can have both on-prem and off into the cloud, outside of the cloud. So that's why, so we support that. And I think it's important. Because if you want to be efficient, and if you have to also talk about yung security side of things, di ba? Those are key items that every CISO always keeps in mind. Now, the next topic on Gen AI is very interesting because last week I was in IBPAC. So for those of you in the IBPAC last week, that was one of the main themes. And what I can share is at the Globe side. So you know, AI has been used in a lot of our tools already in the past, especially customer experience. But what we're trying to see is now we're going to that next level, where AI is now able to be more helping our people to be more efficient and the ability to do more complex tasks in very short amount of time. So as an example, we have a cloud service partnered with AWS, Google, etc. But we do have a managed service around it. In the past, if there's a problem, the engine would get information and just email the customer, we noticed you have whatever spike, an alarm, that's it. Now what we're able to do is, because of Gen AI and other integration, we can be more insightful. So we can actually tell you what could be the reason why. And this is just an example, a very basic example of how Gen AI is going to be used in businesses today. And I'm sure Sinapiya would have examples of marketing, maybe Blake and just.
Thanks so much, Coco. Yes.
Sir, like year 4 and year 5, which data centers?
No, so yung data center business namin, as you know, is with, so we had a deal last year, di ba, with STT. So, as I recall correct, so that's the current. Yung tinatanong mong bago, syempre, di ba, alam ko 3 yung dati namin. Yung 4, I think, that's very massive data center, should be the highest standards.
Thanks so much. And just very, very briefly, if anybody.
I mean, even machine and the buildings can have digital twin because it makes a lot of sense, and you will take out less risks instead of doing it yourself. I mean, you can just build a digital twin and then take it from there. So these are 2 things that I'd like to just emphasize.
The Blake, I know that generative AI, basically it's an application for customer centricity.
I'll just say 2 quick things. One is I am excited for these technologies because I believe there's so much dysfunction in customer service that most of us want to rip our hair out pretty much every customer service interaction that we have. So I'm very positive about the technology to make, why wouldn't we want efficiency? Why are we afraid? Because there's a lot of dysfunction to fix. The second thing is I'm excited about generative AI in the contact center. It's kind of like Waze for employees. So if you have Waze here? Yeah, so that's an interesting way to, I stole that from a friend who was the former an analyst at Forrester, Daniel Hahn. So, but yeah, Waze for employees is Gen AI.
Interesting, Pia.
Yes, in marketing and in Blue, we do use AI. Couple of things I think I would like to say is, one is that it's effective. It's really great at making your marketing more effective because it is enabling our teams to step up in terms of what creatives, what offers, whatever it might be, that are most relevant and therefore resonating most with their customers. And then second, it makes you more efficient because obviously you're able to do things faster. And what this does is that it allows us to free up our resource to focus on more higher value things. Because there are things that AI at the moment still cannot do from a marketing perspective, like ideation, like understanding the human emotion, understanding our customers at an emotional level. And so that's what AI is enabling us to do in Blue Marketing. It frees up our resource so that we are able to deploy them to more value-add things and make overall our marketing more effective and more efficient.
Thanks so much. And finally, as we wrap up.
Put together to really help our customers think much more forward. And from the discussions we had today, I think one of the most important things were really the different phases of digital transformation. So as a takeaway, it's really to be able to take a step back and reevaluate what is important in your businesses and what it is that you do need to keep or discard. And when you've gotten all those learnings, how do you now take your business forward and revamp it so that you were able to go much further than where you have come from? And then, of course, being very customer-centric as you do so that you continually build a resilient brand.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Kitty Dizon of Globe Business. Josiah.
Key takeaways about value. How do you create it? How do you deliver it? How do you capture it? How you create it today may not be the same as tomorrow. How you deliver it today may not be the same as tomorrow. Therefore, it's going to affect how you capture the value, how you're going to be profitable in the future. So as early as now, might as well think about create, deliver, think about technological preparedness.
This is short and sweet. Customer experience is the best marketing money can't buy. And if that's true, the contact center is your treasure chest. So treat it like it's very valuable.
And finally, Pia.
Yes, I think it really is invest in your brand, regardless of the size of your business. And so we have people joining the conference that are from small businesses to large enterprises. But regardless of the size of your business, it really is important to invest in building a strong and resilient brand. And to do this, you need to link it to defining why you exist, why your business exists, what is your business purpose. Because if you are able to keep that purpose in mind, regardless of the changes in the environment and regardless of the digital transformation that you will need and want to adopt, that purpose, that North Star, is going to make sure that everything you do throughout your organization as you transform remains aligned and on track towards where you want to go.
And with that, thank you so much. A round of applause, please, to all our